Howdy, y'all. Goosefather here. Doing a quick Hotfix 2 update to Season 2 of the Bazaar. Actually, I think the most important thing here is that they did a second hotfix inside of 24 hours to the previous one, which is a type of speed of change that Tempo has not shown before. Also, not all of these are nerfs. Some of these are slight reversions to things that they nerfed before. Um, which shows that they're like quickly looking and touching items that they've made changes to and adjusting it in a way that honestly is really heartening to see. Like, yeah, it used to be you get one hot fix, you wait 3 days, you get one more hot fix, and then you're just stuck with whatever's wrong for the rest of the season. It makes me really hopeful that's a change. I'm very, very excited about the quick turnaround on this. We'll see if it keeps happening, but if it does, chef's kiss to Tempo. Good job, guys. We really appreciate it. Okay, we're just going to jump in. Not a lot to cover, but we'll cover it pretty quick for folks that care. Fix an issue where this item did not buff passive weapons and shield items. Our showcase. Cool. Haven't gotten to play with it yet, so didn't know. Tortuga, you all might be a little sick of this guy already. Well, they slowed down his timer at silver, and so he takes a little bit longer to get up to speed. He scales down in seconds slower. So the early versions aren't as oppressive. Still same 10 seconds at the end. But then they changed the scaling from 369 to 248, so it'll be a little bit less damage. Not entirely sure that solves the problem. The 600 versions were plenty kicking my teeth in. So, but it's an adjustment and it's a quick adjustment. So if they're going to keep adjusting at this speed, I don't care what the numbers are. Like, I will give them the benefit of the doubt that the adjustments will make their way there. So I'm pretty appreciative of that. Clamera cooldown changed to 7654. So I want to pull this up in the Bazaar. Um how Bazaar, because it gives you a little bit more details. So the cooldown came down a lot on this item. You could get this to a 4-second slow, but it no longer slows a bunch of items at the higher tiers. It's one slow for a longer period of time. Now they've been changing almost every item in the other direction, where they give it only a 1 second so that the slow mechanic or the freeze mechanic is not oppressive. But they give it a lot of slows or a lot of freezes so that it's a trigger item, so that it's used as a trigger. But since Clamera fires at the start of combat, the fact that it could slow 4 times was oppressive because it could trigger 4 things. And it's one of the only start of combat activators still left in the game. They're slowly whittling all those out. So we got like holsters, other ones that don't swing again, so they don't count as use items like the magma core and whatnot. They just do the thing and the thing can be the trigger. So I like that they're keeping the original flair of Clamera. It's still a start of combat slow, but it's not a start of combat for slows. So it's not going to get them going quite as fast. So that's really nice. I think that's a really good change. As we're looking at this, it's a little more details. We went from 14, 12, 10 instead of 12, 10, 11, 10. So a pretty significant slowage at the silver level, and then it starts getting back to normal pretty fast. So that's the scaling on that. Proboscis, they reverted right back to Proboscis. It's now when you slow instead of so it's now just a passive again. It's not an item. Not sure what's happening with Proboscis, but that's just okay. Beehive enchants now scale to the individual bee damage. The Beehive enchants were your strongest bee, like so burn equal to percent of the strongest bee. Which is somebody out there making the current Beehive work? Like they nerfed it harder. Just delete the item. Just delete the item. Like seriously, just take the item away and bring it back when you want to fix it. Like I don't understand this at all. I'm a little I don't know. I'm fine. I think Beehive is hard to balance. I think everybody else who plays against it is really sick of this item. I'm okay at being obliterated from orbit so that it has time for us all to kind of forget how much we hate it, and then they can fix it and it can come back and be fine. Also, it was so oppressive that even pig players are kind of bored of it, right? So do that. Get rid of it. Bring it back once you fixed it. Now you gotta like find 3 beehives. Like you can't even upgrade it at the upgrade shop to get more bees, which that they might change, but right now you can't. And so you have to find 3 wild beehives just to get 6 bees, and then 4 just to have a beehive board. And then all the time in between those is all the gap on your damage scaling between like the first 2 bees you got, the next 2 bees you got, the next 2 bees you got. So there's a huge gap. And then I thought, well, the way they were fixing that, they let you actually enchant your beehive so that it happens anytime you use a bee. The enchant procs off of the strongest bee that you've been scaling at least. So at least you could get fire damage based off the strongest bee. Nope. They nerf that now, so it's the individual bees. So only the first 2 bees will have any real damage. Only the first 2 bees will do any real fire or poison damage. Like, okay, get it. It's dead. Like, delete it. Like, stop kicking it. It's dead, man. It doesn't need that. So cool. Question mark. All right, we're gonna go back to this real quick and find ourselves the gym, because the specific details matter a little bit. All right, so that I thought they murdered like woodshed, took it behind the woodshed, Pig's Gym with this cooldown because it's just oppressive at like having to get up to 8. You can now get it down to 7 at Diamond. It now means that it kind of doesn't run on your board till Diamond. But I was always feeling this was a backup plan. Now, again, I haven't used the new items, and the new items probably, there's a lot of really fast weapon stuff. So they probably pair really strongly with Pig's Gym. And then the Itlotl changes, the cooldown reduction changes. If you add cooldown reduction in fight now, the item immediately gets it instead of waiting until it swings to get it. So the moment Pig's Gym hits, Itlotl gets that damage and gets to start firing immediately. Was a big buff to Gym in the first place, and then they gave it a ton more value scaling, and then they gave it all the cooldown reduction, and they thought it was OP. I didn't, but again, I wasn't using the new item, so I could be wrong. I did play with it. It felt still pretty hard to get going. They've reverted all pretty much most of the changes. Instead of, it was 369, they brought it down to 246. They brought it back to 357. This seems good to me. This seems like good value scaling. I kind of like this. It can just function as an econ play pretty well at 357. You can still just buy and sell small cheap weapons. Even your silver small weapons, at silver, you're theoretically making money on this because you buy for 4, you sell for 2, you get 3, right? So you marginal cost of 2, marginal value of 3. This can just be an econ play in the background. And then if you happen to get enough on it and your board starts going that way, maybe you get a drum board or something like that and you're starting to play drum, but drum's falling off and it might not go late. Like, you might be able to pivot into this for a like 7-second I kill you, like hard, if you get this to the moon. So this will function a little bit more like Pawn Shop in terms of how we play it. You don't come to it comes to you, right? Like Pig's Gym comes there, you put it in the background, you start like using it for an econ play. And then if you don't happen to have to sell it for a really strong board, it can be your late game pivot, especially almost only if you get it up to Diamond, and then you'll still need to do some serious cooldown reduction on it with your feathers and your whatever on it. But it is definitely playable at this time schema, and then it's definitely scalable at this schema. And then if you have to sell it off, I think it was just a good use of money. Also, it does still give you the max hit points when you buy sell items. So just grabbing it to cycle until you have to sell it immediately to get something else is totally worth it. You can make a little bit of money doing that again on a couple of small weapons, and then you got a couple free hit points. I like the item just as an econ play, just as a hit point buffer. It's good for that. I like that they brought the value up is more important to me than they brought the seconds down. But then bringing the seconds down means you can now, just like Pawn Shop, well, if you happen to be getting that thing to the moon for some reason, if the stars do align and you got a couple upgrades on it, and now its value is looking really shining, now you might be interested enough to move into it. But if not, you didn't lose anything because it was working as an econ play. I like that a lot. That I'm very, very happy with that. Yeah. And again, I don't know what got broken before. I assume they responded to that because the speedrunner and whatnot of it all probably made that item too crazy otherwise. Speedrunner starts at silver, changed to a non-toy item. So charge a non-toy item 1, 2, 3 seconds. Hold on, sorry guys. I know I keep going back and forth here, but like one reads in English, which is a little bit easier to whatever, and then the other gives the actual details. So we have to just kind of toggle back between their information and how Bazaar's information. Okay, they brought it up to silver, which they don't say in their notes. This is why you have to go to this, because you can't get everything without it. And then at silver, they dropped the scaling by 1 second. So now it starts charging at one, what it used to do at bronze, it now does at silver. So it clearly was a little bit oppressive. And then it now only, when you use an adjacent toy, you charge it instead of any other toy, you charge it. So you can't run like Piggles Deep and go absolutely crack crazy. I had a feeling that that could be a little nuts, so it makes sense to me that they had to do something in response to that. Textiles, toxic firing, and obsidian scales based on the heal, so cool. Ferroscon disguise changed back to dockline, so Ferroscon slows you once again. So he's getting even a little bit harder. He's a clock now. He got a tiny bit harder to get through because they gave him a little bit more hit points, but for the most part, if you could kill Pharos before you could kill Pharos now, Docklines is a pretty big change to that. Docklines means because Pharos is about like if he swings, you're usually dead. You usually just can't have enough, unless you're running Fat Pig, hit points to just ignore his first swing. Like that first swing kills you. And that first swing is around 9 seconds, 8 seconds. Do the math, don't trust me, pull it up. But you would be able to easily tell the clock now he's going to be slowing a bunch of your shit, and so it's a lot harder to get through. So you kind of can't like just bonk him. You're probably going to have to run like a wide weapons board to be able to take Pharos. We don't really, I mean, Pharos has the more XP and whatnot, but he's usually up against some monsters that have some loot, so we don't always need to go to him anyway. They removed big numbers from Property Baron. Big nerf. Interesting nerf. It does mean that he can't like triple crit and murder you anymore. He is much tamer. He is much easier to kill. Especially since they still, the thing I have not seen is fix the keychain bug, which is the keychain seems to always hit his leftmost item. So the keychain always seems to trigger his skyscraper. So he will swing twice, and then recharge. It will proc him to swing twice, and then he will swing twice again, right? So he gets 6 swings inside of his normal 2 swing cast range because it almost always lands on that one. And then the fact that those 6 swings had a 50% chance to crit was just like it would murder you. Now you can do the math to see if you could actually survive the fight. You almost never could if you double proc. The other interesting thing about this is now you kind of only go to Property Baron if you're running properties or if you want the trader value skill. You don't go to Property Baron for Ice Club. You don't go to Property Baron for, other things like that where you were just trying to get crit chance on your large weapon. So it also changes the fight from the who goes against him perspective, which is good. It's a little bit of a nerf to like Tortuga and stuff like that, where people had a little bit more access than they probably should to like 50% crit chance. Not that Vanessa can't get crit everywhere, but yeah. They removed the Radiant Enchant from Antimatter Chamber because then the item could just be there infinitely and destroy your shit and never go away. Cool. Makes sense. Test Subject Alpha, fix a bug causing it to function while in stash. Oh, shit. Okay, cool. Thank you. We've already seen, if you want to go to the Discord link below, Walter has a couple of examples of Test Subject Alpha murdering pigs. I don't know why he only shares videos of his builds murdering pigs. We're a little suspect that Walter is a friend of the stream because Walter is like hunting us. But Walter Coolest, if you go over to our Discord, has a couple of videos of putting this build together for Mac, and it looks really fun. So if you're curious about this item and how it works, go there. But functioning from staff is fucking hilarious. Lady, you guys. Lady. Okay. Lady went from 14 damage or whatever it was. You didn't care because it's not exactly totally scalable. It was 14 damage, swing twice in 7 seconds, right? And it was good, but then if you're running like a drum board, if you're running something else, 7 seconds was just too long. It was too long to wait for it to get into the fight. And then even with haste, even when it swung 2 times, even at gold, it was not gold on your drum. It was not perma hasted because the haste would fall off by the time, right? Now though, as it scales up, so less flat damage, just so you can't like abuse this thing on day one or whatever. But as you level this thing up, which we do a lot, we see it a lot, and we just kept skipping it because there was no reason to level it up. I would like them to do something similar, by the way, to flail, because again, flail is just a vehicle for damage because of its speed. It's not its flat damage that I care about, so we also don't usually upgrade flail very often. Now we have a strong reason to upgrade it. This can get down to a 4-second swing twice. It is the fastest weapon we have outside of the new kit stuff. Probably the fastest weapon we have, period, at that. That's auto swing twice at 4 seconds is huge. This is very strong for drum boards. This will be very strong for anything where we're doing fast weapon swinging stuff. You just do have to actually scale it up. So that's really cool. It would be perma-hasted on a silver drum board if you manage to get this thing up to diamond. Also, we now have a bit of shenanigans with the way Piggles works. Piggles upgrades the Piggle, one of your Piggles, at the start of every new day. So if you get day one Piggles, the Piggle you get from winning that fight will be upgraded. And then if you just keep throwing away your other Piggles every fight, or at the end of each day fight, it will upgrade the same one. So you got it to silver after the day one fight, you got it to gold after the day two fight. On day 4, you have a small diamond item you can start re-rolling at Mandala. And so this might be a way to start fishing for your Halady. And like, that's just if you didn't use your Piggles and you're just using them for cycle fodder, which we do most of the time anyway. Sometimes we run the Piggles, but we do most of the time. And you should do this anyway to get a targeted chunky Piggle, because they are way more impactful than having like 4 shitty Piggles on your board, unless you just happen to be running Matchbox on the wide board spam, which we don't tend to do too often. So you're doing that behavior anyway to get it up to diamond, and now you can re-roll into this. So that's really nice. Boryar Shoeblade changed to hand axe, which is a little nice. So now he doesn't have any crit chance. So now we can hard math Boryar. Shoeblade being Shoeblade, yeah. It's nice and it's not nice. There's some not nice things about that. So let's pull it up. Go to Bazaar, and then we look at hand axe. Am I thinking of the right item? Your weapons have, oh buddy. So Boryar now does more base damage, just more. All of his weapons get extra base damage. So he now hits your face even harder. But in exchange for that, he doesn't crit. Yeah, I'm not sure this is better, y'all. I think he kills more of us, but he more consistently doesn't just spike out of nowhere. That's nice. I don't like crit on the early monsters. The variability is fine on later monsters, but on the early monsters, you should be able to math it out, because losing the early monster fights is so terrible. So like, it's so impactful. So I like that. I like, just even if it makes him more of a final boss, he's very hard. You usually aren't able to take him. But now you can like do the math if you're so inclined to pull up your calculator. All right, Peace Rat. Super, super interesting. I like this item a lot. Peace. This is one of those things that if we happen to get it from, if we happen to pick it up or something from Dig, we'll grab it and we'll start play with it. Gain 2 regen for the fight every time it swings. Cool. When you visit a merchant, permanently destroy the item to the left of this to increase this item's regen by its value. Then get a chunk of lead. So the only change they made to this was now it also gives you a chunk of lead, which is cool. Like, that's cool. That's a cool flavor text. That is a cool, use case for them. But look at this thing, man. 4 seconds regen. And you can scale this by eating the value from other items. So if we just happen into Dig and we are working on a fixer or something, we're working on a skyscraper fixer, a subscraper something, right? We got 2 property items. We literally just put one of those 2 to the left of this guy, eat it, and now we are a pacifist build. Like, this now has hundreds and hundreds of regen that swings every 4 seconds, right? It's just a very cool pivot with just lots of fun shit. The enchants are decent enough. It's the usual like burn equal to the regen, 10 times shield, etc., etc. I just love this item. You can also just have things that you've been stacking the whole time. So you've been stacking a pawn shop, but you never got your belts right. You've been stacking that what's it called, pig's gym in the background now that it scales really well, but maybe you never got the gym stuff together. Well, you can now just, if you happen to get this item, we can just eat it and then suddenly have a better significantly better, because it's more scalable for us because value is easier than hit points to scale, old lemonade stand at 4 seconds, right? It's just fun. It's just fun. This is going to happen very, very rarely. This is not game breaking or anything for us. We'll see how game breaking it is for Mac. But when we get it, we can make immediate use out of it if we've been value scaling something. So this is just a fun thing that we get to play around with. That's it. That's it, y'all. That's the changes. Again, most excited that they made changes today. Super excited to see if they make changes tomorrow. This was a planned server update anyway, so they might have just like slid the stuff in while they were doing that. Might not change their usual update schedule, but it's just really nice to see them kind of taking swings and not just like nerfing, but doing like small tweaks to things that they did nerf, bringing back up already the day after. I don't know, man. That's exciting. That gives me hope that the more responsive they are to like things being broken in the meta, the better this game keeps from getting stale really fast. So very excited about that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope that was helpful for those of you who come to me for your information. Yeah. And I hope you get out there and stomp some Macs. We're gonna start anti-Mac propaganding here to fight the terrible tide of Walter Koulis and his murder showcases on our Discord. So thank you guys so much. Hope to see you soon.